Welcome to Reading the New Testament in Original Greek with syntax analysis. We're reading today Matthew chapter 2, verse 3. And as we have done it in a previous session, we're going to compare our Greek text to English version from NRSV. Matthew chapter 2, verse 3. Ακούσας δε ο βασιλεύς Ηρώδης εταράχθη και πάσα Ιερουσάλημα μετ' αυτού. NRSV. When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. There's not much of an interesting comparison that's English Bible translated differently. But what we are going to look today is, in English, when King Herod heard this. When? Where does the when come from? And also, another word of frightened, the etarachti, we're going to analyze it in the syntax. Akouses. It's from the verb akouo. The form is pretty much preserved. We have the sigma in the middle before the ending, and we have the ending aas. Akouo means to hear, and with the sigma makes it an aorist. Well, there is no augmentations, there is no vocal stretch, which means that this is not an indicative. Instead, we have the ending as. Well, the ending technically the ending itself is alpha sigma as, but in an aorist, in a participle, it's just my way of memorizing it. It makes it easier to memorize it. How I do it is adding the sigma with the ending together. So it goes, instead of as, asa, an, I memorize it sas, sasa, san. Sas, sasa, san. It makes it sound more interesting to memorize. Well, compared to the present participle, on, usa, on, and an aorist, sas, sasa, san, which is irregular. If we have, we talked about in a Matthew chapter 2 and verse 1, there we have the vasilev, the word, in a genitive form, tu vasileos. The form particularly changes it in a different way, as a decline in a different way. We have here nominative case, o vasilevs Herodis. So, having heard, however, who has heard it? Acusas. This is in a nominative case, right? Sas, sasa, san, it's all in a nominative case. Acusas is a nominative and a masculine. So, o vasilevs Herodis. The king, Herod, is in a nominative case, makes the subject of the participle. So that's what we translate in a context. This is a circumstantial participle that you can translate, depends on the context. For example, even though King Herod heard this, even though after King Herod heard, when he heard, right? It's all grammatically correct. And you decide which one befits the context. Etarachti. It's from the verb taraso. The tara, this is preserved in an aorist form. Taraso means to trouble, and the verbal inflections in the future. Taraxo, taraxa. Perfect, tetaracha. And a perfect medium passive, tetaragma. Tetaragme, sorry. And the aorist passive, etarachtin. We have in all inflections, you can see tara is preserved. So this, I would say, not as a rule, but it's my own way to memorize it and make it easier. Tara indicates taraso. Now we have etarachti. We have augmentation epsilon in the front, and we have the ending changing with a he, theta. This is from the aorist, etaraxa. And we have an aorist passive, etarachti. How does it in a passive change from xa to chtin? This is called assimilation. The xi itself is comprised of the kappa and sigma. And when it comes with a theta, the guttural, the ka, ga, changes to aspirata. It's called h, he. So that we have in an aorist passive, etarach, thi. Of course, the eta at the end is a third person singular. So the king Herod in an aorist passive was troubled. Que pasa? It's from the word pas in a feminine. Pasa. Why do we have a feminine? Jerusalem, the city Jerusalem. The Jerusalem, and usually the city. Sorry, no. City is in a feminine form. So Jerusalem, metaftu, with him. Meta plus genitive. Okay, this is today's reading for Matthew chapter 2, verse 3. I hope you have enjoyed it. And our text is from the Griechischer Bibeltext, from the Novum Testament, 28th editions, and with the permissions from Nestle and Allen, using the text. Okay, we'll look forward to the next session. Thank you.